going live, right? Now we are live. We will be starting. Apologies for the technical issues.
Okay. I hope this will work now. I am sharing the screen.
Let me start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very warm welcome to this exciting digital event. Today we are here for the Modern Industry Food Safety Qualification webinar, proudly presented by HSEQ Professionals Pakistan in collaboration with Highfield International. Thank you so much, all of you, my audience, for registering and joining us. I'm Fatima Rizvi, a trainer and an auditor from HSEQ Professionals, and I will be moderating today's event. Let's formally start this event. I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to my honorable speakers, Ms. AISHA and Ms. Rutaba, for taking the time to share their information, their knowledge today. So Ms. AISHA is currently working as Quality Assurance Manager at Highfield International, who will be sharing the valuable insights. Welcome, Ms. AISHA.
Thank you very much.
Then we have our honorable speaker, Ms. Rutaba, who is an approved Highfield trainer for food safety qualification with an extensive industry knowledge. First of all, I would like to welcome Ms. AISHA to share her insights. Over to you, Ms. AISHA.
Thank you very much. I'll try my luck now. I'll just share screen. Do I select the window or entire screen? I'll try the entire screen, yeah?
Yes, entire screen.
Yeah, so I've clicked on the entire screen. Okay, there it is. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. And as I was saying, I think it's extremely useful for organizing an event like this to help learners understand what qualifications are. And I'm happy to be part of this program today. So I think an introduction to Highfield is incomplete without talking about our chairman, Richard Sprenger. He's a well-known name in the world of food safety. He is our food safety expert who's extremely passionate about improving food safety. He's worked as an enforcement director in the UK for the environmental safety for over a decade. And he's also worked on different food safety resources. He's the author of the Hygiene for Management food safety book. He continues to be passionate about food safety, and he liaises and works with government bodies, helps them design the policies and procedures for food safety regulations. He also speaks he's in several food safety events, and in 2 weeks' time, he'll also be speaking at the Dubai Food Safety Conference. So see if you can follow the speakers in any case. And he's worked with big brands such as McDonald's, Nutella, Emirates, Aramco, etc., helping with the food safety policies and procedures development. And the passion he has for food safety and quality training in the world of food safety actually, and boils down to why our qualifications and products are such high quality. Myself, I'm the Quality Assurance Manager, and I'm also the International Qualification Development Manager. My role is to design qualifications that are fit for purpose. And additionally, I also liaise with education authorities in different countries, trying to understand what their regulatory requirements are and what they expect in terms of quality assurance from foreign awarding bodies such as Highfield. So today, in the next 20 minutes, I will be talking to you about Highfield and about what Highfield's role is as a UK awarding organization. And I'll also be helping you understand the different qualification types and levels and why Highfield qualifications are of high value. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, all you food safety passionate individuals will be able to make informed decisions on what qualifications will better suit your need or your employees if you're employers. So, who are Highfield? Highfield is one of the top five awarding organizations in the UK, and we have over 300 to 400 different qualifications and apprenticeships that we have developed, not just in food safety, but also in other sectors. We develop qualification products and resources that will help our training providers to deliver those qualifications effectively. Over 2 million people are trained every year using the products that we developed. And we have over 45,000 trainers in training centers across the globe internationally, not just in the UK, but outside of UK in different countries. And our customers, as I mentioned, include really big brands such as Emirates, Aramco, Marks and Spencer, etc. And if you've got time, browse through our About Us page on the website, so you can listen to some success stories as well. We are an internationally accredited qualifications body, and in the next few slides, I'll try and explain to you what our role is as an awarding body and at what stage training providers come into picture, and how HSEQ is one of our approved training providers to deliver our qualifications. So, although our head office is based in the UK, all the operations that we deliver from the UK office, we have a similar setup based in the Dubai office as well. So, in the UK, the teams, over 200 staff members, are employed to look after all the different qualifications, approved training providers, etc. And internationally, we have a similar structure, but a smaller structure. But we manage all the qualifications that are delivered internationally outside of the UK. So Highfield is not just about qualifications. It's a big group. The Highfield group actually has several functional arms or divisions. Highfield Qualifications is the division based in the UK that develops off-call or UK recognized qualifications. We have Highfield Products, where we develop resource materials such as e-learning, PowerPoints, and books, etc., the resources that will help the trainers and learners to achieve Highfield qualifications. Highfield International, as I mentioned, is the Dubai branch, the office based in Dubai at the moment. We might expand further as we grow internationally. Highfield Assessment is where we've got online assessment technology, digital assessment solutions, and that division looks after the online assessment strategies. And then we've got Highfield Online Training, HOT. So anybody who wants to self-learn before they get to a training provider, or where the training providers want to use blended learning. So if HSEQ wants to attract busy learners who haven't probably got time to come for the training for entire days, HSEQ can support you with blended learning options, and we've got resources to support approved centers with those options as well. So, although I mentioned originally that UK is one of the top 5 awarding bodies in the UK, we also have another feather in our cap, so to speak. So we were awarded in June this year the King's Award for Enterprise. So the Prime Minister in the UK recommends organizations who are doing well on different parameters, and the parameter for which we won this award this year was for the international trade. So we're doing really well internationally, supporting our students, training providers, and our clients. And that has been recognized, and we've been given this award this year. So Highfield qualifications, as I said, Richard is a very passionate food safety expert. And right from the start, the values that he has ingrained in Highfield family is our customer service that we provide to our clients and students, to all stakeholders. There is integrity in the service that we provide. There is value, and obviously it's built on high standard. The resources and the products that you gain are of high quality. It is an international brand, recognized brand globally, and one of the reasons why you're all here today is also to understand more about Highfield qualifications. We have high quality trainers. One of the reasons why Highfield is able to manage quality, service, and integrity is because of our high quality trainers who deliver these qualifications over to you. And there is stringent quality assurance and compliance measures in place to make sure that the learners are not disadvantaged, that everybody who gets a qualification certificate actually deserves it and has achieved it because of all the hard work that they've put in. And there is also the facility of Check Cert facility. One of the best points about Highfield qualification certificates is that you can always authenticate going on our Check Cert facility to make sure that the certificate that you've achieved is a valid, authentic certificate. And outstanding customer service, as I mentioned, that's our USP. So although this entire session is mainly focusing on food safety qualifications and the right qualifications for you, I'd like to bring to your attention as well that there are several other sectors in which we deliver qualifications. Health and safety, constructions, manual handling, risk assessment, and then you also have hospitality and catering, business administration, and leadership qualifications on the other spectrum. We also have first aid, lifeguarding, mental health qualifications, fire safety, teaching and training qualifications, as well as security and stewarding. So I know all of you are looking at understanding how to choose qualifications. It is also important to understand that there are other credentials that will add to the qualifications that you achieve. And so whenever you've got time, feel free to browse through our website. There are plenty of products that might suit your needs, if not specifically for food safety. So now I've been saying Highfield is one of the UK's top awarding organisations. It's important to understand what a UK awarding body is. So in the UK, there are exam boards, and in a more easy to understand terminology, we are the exam boards like we have in India and Pakistan. In the UK, we are called awarding bodies. We are regulated by the Office of Qualifications, which is Ofqual, and we are responsible for designing qualifications, for supporting the delivery of those qualifications, and for awarding those qualifications, awarding certificates for those qualifications. We are not only responsible for designing the structure or the syllabus of the qualifications, but also we have to design exams or assessment methodology that actually tests that syllabus at the end of the training. We are regulated by Ofqual in England, but also by Qualification Wales in Wales and SQA in Scotland. So the role of Ofqual, why do we need a regulatory body? I think it's very important to understand the full structure or the full process of achieving the qualification. So at the end of the process, we have the learner whose interest is at the heart of everything that we do. And we have the training provider who's delivering the qualification to those learners. And behind them is us as the awarding bodies who are providing the syllabus, the exams. We are ensuring that the training provider is delivering this to the highest of standard and quality. That's our job as awarding body. But behind us, there's also the regulator who's ensuring that we do our jobs properly, and that is Ofqual. They are an independent regulator of qualifications, exams, and assessments in England. They help awarding bodies to maintain standards. They audit us regularly. We have to report to Ofqual all the statistics and the data, and so we are continuously monitored. It's not a yearly end-of-year monitoring. We are bound by the rules of Ofqual, which is called the conditions of recognitions. In everything that we do as an awarding body, we have to make sure that we meet the conditions of Ofqual. So their job is to oversee and audit us and our processes routinely. And we develop qualifications. I said when we develop qualifications, the normal process is that there is a job role. There is a minimum standard required for that job role, which we usually call it as occupational standards. Based on that occupational standards, we have to design a qualification that will give the learner those standards so that they can go and apply for those jobs. So that is the default position or structure how a qualification is designed. Once a qualification is designed, they're categorized. The qualifications that I'm talking about, Highfield qualifications, you can see them in 3 different categories. One is the regulated qualifications. So these are the qualifications that we design in the UK based on the conditions mentioned by Ofqual. as well as the occupational standards for different job roles. Usually, employers will feed into the qualification development. They will say, "We are seeing employees, but there is a lot of gap in certain skills, or there is a new job role for which there is no training in the market." So the skills gaps are identified, the job roles are identified, the occupational standards are set. They are given to us. We develop the qualifications, and then those qualifications go on the framework, the UK Qualification Framework Register. And those qualifications which are regulated by Ofqual, are called regulated qualifications. They usually have the acronym RQF at the end of the title. We also follow the same qualification development process, but we do them as international qualifications. For international qualifications, we take a step outside. We come outside of the UK, and depending on which country we are dealing with, we try and understand the skills gap that are in that market, and we develop qualifications that suit that market. The problem of lifting a regulated qualification from the UK and delivering it internationally is some of the qualifications will very heavily talk about UK legislations. Those legislations may not be appropriate or may not apply in the country where the qualification is being delivered. And so we develop what is called international qualifications. For example, we have developed the first aid qualifications for the Dubai Corporation of Ambulance. We have developed international food safety qualifications that apply or that cover the requirements in the Middle East or the GCC. So these qualifications, they're not on the UK framework, but they are recognized by relevant authorities in different countries, or they might be recognized by specific employer, by a corporate employer, for example. They might come and say, we want a qualification that suits specifically our needs. In those cases, we design qualifications that suit the employer's needs, and these are the international qualifications. We also, in Dubai specifically, we are one of the certifying awarding bodies. We are recognized by the Dubai municipality and accredited by EAC, the Emirates International Accreditation Center, for the ISO standard 17024, and we certify person in charge candidates in Dubai. So all restaurants or food businesses are required to have person responsible for food safety, and they need to be certified person in charge. And we are a certifying body for that in Dubai. So what is the value of a Highfield qualification specifically? Because we are a UK regulated awarding body, it is second nature to us to always think about the regulatory requirements of Ofqual. Although I showed you the three different types of qualifications, when we are designing those, we always put the Ofqual hat on, and we always think, okay, what are the conditions to protect learner interest that we need to be aware of? So we always remember that, and we put that in the design of our qualifications. In the design of the assessments, we follow those conditions regardless of the category of the qualification. Our strong focus is on quality assurance and ensuring that they align with industry standards. As I mentioned, the process is always the same. The skills gap is identified, and then we liaise with the government bodies and the employers to understand what exactly is missing in their employees, and then we design qualification that will fill those gaps. Transferability. Now, if you're doing the regulated qualifications, because it's already on the framework in the UK, and when you achieve that qualification, it's easy when you take it to another country because they can map with their framework. So sometimes, for example, in Europe, organizations will understand what a regulated framework is in the UK. And so when somebody goes with an RQF qualification, it makes the process of evaluation easy. So when it is an awarding board, when it is a qualification that you get from an awarding organization, they will understand that we have followed a specific structure, we have referenced it against a specific framework, and that framework is easy for a foreign country to understand, and it helps with the evaluation of those qualifications. So recognition in India, Pakistan, Africa, and Middle Eastern countries, again, it depends on what their local regulations are. And so, when we say that this qualification is based or referenced against the RQF framework, it is a good starting point for those evaluation committees to evaluate your certificates or your achievements. Support and resources, as I said, as an off-call awarding body, the learner is at the heart of everything that we do. And so when we are when we are designing a qualification, we have to ensure that there is sufficient support for the training providers to deliver that qualification. Plus, there should be sufficient support for the learners to get in touch with us should they have any concerns with any of the products that they've used. Qualification levels. Now, again, this is specific to UK awarding organizations, or I should say a regulated awarding organization in any country, not just UK. Awarding bodies, they understand or they have been trained on designing qualifications based on the level of challenge required. So, for example, when you look at, I don't know if you've looked at the titles, the attendees in this meeting, but if you've looked at the qualification titles, you will probably see something like Highfield Level 2 Award in Food Safety, or you will see Highfield Level 3 Award, for swimming pool lifeguard for lifeguards or swimming pool operators, etc. So when a title is designed, what I'm trying to say is when a title is finalized, that title actually tells you everything about the outcome of the qualification. So the level, when we say level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, it is actually signifying the challenge of that, the difficulty level of that qualification. The higher you go, the higher is the level or the difficulty of that qualification. And you will have words like awards, certificates, and diplomas. They're usually telling you the breadth of the content covered or the duration of the qualification. If it's a diploma, obviously it's a very big qualification. It has a minimum 360 hours of duration. It can be higher than 360. It should have a minimum. This is as per the UK standard. So the qualification title actually should be in a way that it is not misleading to the learners. Instead, it actually signifies the outcome of the qualification so that it's easy for the learner to choose. In the UK framework, on the UK qualification framework in the UK, there are 9 levels starting from entry level. Entry level has entry level 1, 2, 3, and then you've got level 1 all the way up to level 8. There are academic qualifications, GCSEs, A levels, undergraduate, and postgraduate. There are vocational qualifications, and the sizes, as I mentioned, awards are the smallest size. Certificates, they start from 120 hours upwards. Diplomas, they start from a size of 360 hours and upwards. And then we also have in the UK something called apprenticeships and technical qualifications. Apprenticeships are a typical work-based learning qualification where the student is placed as an employee, as an apprentice with an employer, and they learn the skills on the job and they achieve qualifications on the job using the apprenticeship standards. So the qualification levels, now I can have a separate webinar to talk to you of the details of the qualification levels, but then to make it simpler for you to understand, you can even go onto the link that is here on the gov.uk website. The 9 levels that I mentioned to you, Ofqual will list the description of what each of these levels should look like. Descriptions, I mean, it should tell us what level of knowledge a student should have at each of those levels, what level of skills a student should have at each of those levels. So when we design a qualification, we have, when we design a level 3 qualification, for example, we go to the Ofqual framework, we look at the description, and we question ourselves, is this qualification meeting that standard of level 3? So, for example, let me take an example of HSEQ, for instance. HSEQ, hazard analysis critical control point. I know that. I can recall the acronym, the full form of the acronym. And then a little up, I will say there are 7 levels or 7 principles of HSEQ. Okay, I can recall all the 7 principles. A little higher up, I can recall the 7 principles in the correct order. Go one step higher, I understand what each of those principles tell us to do. So I know what each of the principal description is. Then I go a step higher. Now I know I can add examples for each of those principles. I can, if it says establish critical limits, I can think of an example. Oh, this is how I have to establish critical limits in terms of checking the temperature of storage of frozen food, for example. And then you go a step higher where I will now apply those principles to my job role. So, my job role, if my job is to prepare shawarma sandwiches, I should know exactly how those principles will apply to that. And then you go one step higher where I should be able to evaluate that what I have applied, is it working, is it not working? If it is not working, what should I do? You see, all these layers, the levels, it should be built within the qualifications. And we have to ensure that even the exams that we build for those qualifications are actually giving an opportunity for the learner to show those skills. The exams, it's mainly the assessments that have to be built to the right standard to get learners up to demonstrate those competencies relevant to those levels. So, in food safety and HACCP, so what I just said, I'll just summarize it to you. Level one is usually an awareness or an introduction to basic qualification. It's about learning the fundamentals, basic tasks, day to day tasks. Level two is about building on those basics, understanding the facts. So, if level one is about recalling the facts, level two is about understanding the facts in more detail. And they might be able to handle routine work with some supervision. They might need a little bit of a supervision for a learner who has achieved a level two. Level three is a skills level where I'll be able to apply what I've understood. So recall, understand, and now I'm able to apply those skills. I can do the routine tasks without supervision or very minimal supervision from the team leader. Level four is professional level. There is an in depth specialist knowledge of the subject area, and there is problem solving. So, at level three, where I'm doing my routine tasks, suddenly there is a change or something happens, and the routine task is not routine anymore. I should be able to think on the spot and make a decision to find a solution for that situation. And that's the level four qualification, professional level qualification. Level five. Now I'll give you the example of level five. We have a qualification in level five in food safety. Highfield Level 5 International Award in Advanced Food Safety Management. So this is different to level four. This is a step further where I say you have all the theoretical, practical knowledge. You know how to apply it. You know how to supervise a team who are working on it. But you'll also be able to evaluate what's happening. You'll be able to evaluate the root cause for a problem, for example. You'll be able to research and come up with a solution, for example. You'll be able to defend the solutions that you're making in terms of food safety. You'll be able to use relevant research and evaluate the solutions or the action points that you have put in place. So, what I'm trying to say here is you, as learners, you need to think what you want to achieve. If, for example, let's say you're the CEO of a company, you are not in charge of food safety, you're not working on day to day activities of food safety, but then you just are interested in understanding the basics of food safety. As a CEO, you should be able to understand what's happening in team meetings. So you'll say, oh, okay, let me familiarize myself with the basics. And you would go do a level one food safety just to understand the terminology of level one HACCP. But if you're someone who is a manager, who's constantly managing teams for handling food safety in HACCP, then you want a qualification that will give you the competencies necessary to do those. And this is where Richard often says that effective food safety can only be successful if you have effective management. So you might be end users, you might be learners here today. Today, the audience here might be learners, you might be employers, or you might be business development managers trying to understand what qualifications you can help HSEQ deliver to other learners. So it's always important to understand what your end goal is, what you want to achieve from a qualification, and then choose the correct qualification. So a bit more about level five. As I said, if you're a CEO, you're not doing the day-to-day activities. You don't want to be sitting on a level five qualifications. for a 5 day qualification. You don't want to be doing a research assignment. But then if you have a manager who will be responsible for the overall food safety management in your company, who will be responsible for managing team, who will be responsible for coming into action for SOS situations. Has there been a flood? Has there been a power cut? Has there been something unusual that has happened, and so your kitchen staff or your food business is unable to handle the situation? Then you come in and you should be able to resolve the situation. Then level 5 qualification is for you. Enforcement officers, auditors, and quality assurance officers, this is relevant for you. It offers enhanced skills to develop and implement effective policies. See, this is where, so somebody who's in the kitchen, a food handler or a chef who is actually doing, a commis chef, for example, who is doing the routine cooking, may not be involved in designing policies and standards. So for such a learner, you will offer a level 5 you will not offer a level 5 qualification. You would offer a level 1, 2, or a level 3 qualification if they have any supervisory role. So you would not be sending a commis chef to go and sit on a level 5 qualification unless you really want to do that. But then the outcome of level 5 is for a much senior person who is in management role. And so it's important to understand your end goal in order to choose the correct qualification. So I know I've spoken a lot about the levels. I've tried to be brief, but you might want to know more about it. How do you make a decision? How just the slides that I've shared now may not be sufficient. You might want to know more about the qualifications, the Highfield qualifications, which one to choose. So go to the Highfield website, the first option. Go to the Highfield website and browse the qualifications. Then you choose the qualification based on the title. You look at the title and you think, yeah, that's it. That's what I want. And then you go into that web page and you download the qualification specification. That specification, the first 3 pages of the specification, will tell you all about the qualification. How many hours? What is the exam technique? What is the learning outcome or the syllabus or the content, the depth and breadth of the content? Look at that and you think, this is not covering the main element that I was looking for. So you go back to the website and then you pick another qualification that covers. Or you look at the syllabus and think, excellent, it covers all the elements that I want to know about. So this is the qualification that I want. And then finally, your training provider, HSEQ, for example, here. They are approved by Highfield because they have met the approval standards, because they have met the quality standards. We check our training providers, we approve them, and they are your best guide in understanding the syllabus, in being trained on it, and in also completing the assessment as per the Highfield exam procedures. So there's plenty of support on our website. There's plenty of support via the approved training provider for you to sit and think of which qualification would be most beneficial for you and for your employees or learners for that matter. So as I said, we also have digital learning solutions. So if you're a busy employee and may not be able to sit full day, speak to your training provider. They will introduce you to our digital learning solutions. They will help you with blended learning approach, and they are there. Your training provider is there to support you to understand and to prepare for your exams. So we have the digital assessment system. You can take the exams remotely. So your center can invigilate you when you're doing the exams remotely via our proctoring system. And then you'll also get the e-certificate, which again is useful because there's no risk of losing the certificate. So we have digital learning solutions for all you busy learners. Competency and CPD. One thing I would like to mention here is one of the things we are passionate about at Highfield is that we want to tell our learners, we want to tell our training providers that the journey doesn't end at the point where you get the certificate. If you've got a Highfield qualification, your journey must continue. Your journey of learning and continuous professional development must continue. Let's say you've got a level 5 food safety Highfield qualification, but if you have not been implementing that, or if you've not been using that, chances are that you will start forgetting. Similarly, if you're food handlers in your kitchen, they do the level 2 food safety qualification, but then they're not so much into ensuring food safety. But there should be some refreshers, some competency checks, CPDs, etc. So the journey of the learner actually begins after getting that qualification to ensure that they are applying the competency in the real work scenarios. And to maintain that competency, again, we are here to help. There are plenty of options that we provide at Highfield to ensure you keep yourself up to date in the world of food safety and HACCP. One way we do that is by updating information on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good source. It's starting to look like there's plenty of information on LinkedIn and can be overwhelming. So please feel free to join our Highfield International page where you will get specific information about webinars. We deliver some free food safety webinars which will give you your CPT points. So please ensure you register to the Highfield page on LinkedIn so you can stay up to date with the events that we are organizing for you all. And then, most importantly, register yourself to the Highfield Food Safety Forum on LinkedIn. This is where Richard and other food safety experts are very active. So they share, food safety incidences around the world. They talk about it. They discuss research papers on the forum. So feel free to join. And there are CPD points depending on your interaction, your level of interaction on the food safety forum. So please sign up for it and keep up to date with what's happening in the world of food safety. Again, I know I've whisked through a lot of information with regards to levels, sizes of qualifications, the end outcome of the qualifications, and how to choose the qualifications depending on who your learner is. But if you have got any further information and if you want to have more one-to-one discussions about qualification choices, we're always here to help you. HSEQ is here to help you. You can write to us. You can call us directly. You can write to me directly on the email address which is on the screen. So I hope that was a useful session. But I know there was a lot of information out there on the slides. I've tried to keep it minimum, not bombard you with the skills descriptor from the framework, but I'm happy to take any questions you may have about the qualifications. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Aisha. Very well explained the stages. You have explained very well from the initial stage to the final stage of the certification and beyond. Surely we'll take the questions also. Uh, First, I would like to ask Ms. Rutaba to start with the presentation. Then in the end, we will be asking the questions.
Okay, just to let you know as well that I'll have another meeting for which I'll have to leave in about 15 minutes. I can see if I can, yeah, another 15 minutes. But can we have the questions now, if possible, please?
Sure, sure, no issues.
Thank you. Sorry, this is a day full of meetings today.
No issues, Ms. Aisha. So the first question is from Ms. Shehwar Shahid. She is asking, as a food safety professional, which certification should we go for first?
As a food
Yes.
safety professional, again, I think it's about your responsibilities. If you need to engage in HACCP, for example, putting HACCP measures in place, if you're engaging in helping any organization in designing their food safety management systems, then definitely HACCP is a key component. You'll have to have HACCP as part of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Aisha. Do you have any other questions? If you want to ask any questions, so please ask. The next question is from Ahmad Mirza. How long do high field qualifications remain valid?
Most high field qualifications remain valid for life. There is no validity. There are some competency based qualifications like first aid, for example. So there is a regulatory requirement that there is routine refreshers and recertifications at the end of third year. But with food safety and HACCP, the qualifications remain valid, but we strongly encourage people to do refreshers and engage in continuous CPD.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aisha. Indeed, you have very well explained all the things. Yes, next question is from Mr. Sher. How to know which is right qualification for you if you're recently starting your career in this field?
Yeah, that's a good question again. I go back to the point of when you're starting in the food industry, you need to understand what your job role is. So when you get the job description when you're appointed in the food industry, and if it says you need to do this, this, and this, you need to supervise a team of food safety. You're in charge of designing the policies for food safety. Then definitely you have to go for a comprehensive qualification level 5. However, sometimes it could be overwhelming if you jump straight to a level 5 qualification if you've never had any training or any background in food safety. So you can always start at a level 2 or a level 3 first to get your foot firm in the world of food safety, to understand the terminology of food safety. You can do it slowly. You can start at 3. If you have a good background academic qualification, you can start at 3 and then move on to 4 or 5. So it depends on how comfortable you are to go straight to a level 5 Most qualifications don't specify mandatory entry level requirements like for level 4. For level 5, it is mandatory that you already have a level 4 qualification. So, but for level 4, if you have got experience, if you've got background knowledge, you can go to level 4. But if you're completely new, no knowledge of food safety, then I would recommend that you have some background information first, that you start with the level 3 first, get comfortable with food safety, and then move on to a higher level.
Thank you, Ms. Aita. So we are taking our last question from Mr. Abdullah. He is saying if you want to go abroad, so what are the proper steps in this regard?
Yes, so I think, as I mentioned, different countries have different ways of recognizing and evaluating qualifications. It's in the eye of the beholder. So, for example, recently, after Brexit, we have had situations where in Europe they have changed slightly the way they see the qualifications, and so their process has changed. Similarly, if you go to in the Middle East, in GCC, for example, Highfield brand is recognized, and as soon as they see that it's an authentic Highfield certificate, most of the employers recognize that here. So there is no one answer. It depends on the country that you are planning to move. So you'll have to do a bit of research and see what their qualification recognition strategy is. In the UK, for example, we have something called UK NARIC. It is an organization that evaluates foreign qualifications. So they have their own structure. Similarly, in South Africa, they have their own structure of recognizing foreign qualifications. So each country will look at it slightly differently. As long as the qualification is valid and authentic and achieved through the right, they should be able to verify the certificate as the first step in any country.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aisha. I would like to thank you on behalf of HSEQ Professionals for giving us your precious time. And
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer because of because of certain commitments, and it's nearly weekend, so we need to finish off certain things.
we totally
I
understand.
would like to thank you, Ms. Rutaba. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, HSEQ, for organizing this, and thank you very much for the listeners for your questions. Feel free to send the questions if you have got more, and I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we welcome you, Ms. Rutaba. So over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Ailia, and thank you so much, HSEQ Professionals, for organizing this session. And I guess Aisha elaborated it very effectively, and she explained it in a very detailed manner that what are the levels of the qualifications and what are the available qualifications, and one, if proceeding towards them, what should be the initial step or how should we go about with the other things as well. But a question arises usually in the mind of the personnel who are there in the food industries, who are currently, I would say, the stakeholders of the food safety practices, that why should we move towards them? There is an initial question. At times, people do ask that why do we need these certifications? So I would really appreciate if we could have the presentation, and I'll just briefly explain that what are the needs and importance of these qualifications in current times.
Sure, Ms. Rutaba. Rutaba, we can't hear you properly. Please, can you check the connection?
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Now you are.
Okay, perfect. If we could just have the full screen of the slide. Thank you so much. Perfect. The audio is clear now, Ilya? Perfect. So moving on to modern industry food safety qualifications. If you could proceed towards the introduction. Okay. So as you all know that food is just not about only the regulatory standards or the certifications that we are attaining. Food is that it connects the entire world and the professionals working together on one forum. Because when there is an exchange of products, when there is an export of products, when there is an we have different sort of cuisines. So wherever the food goes, it represents their culture and simultaneously promotes the different regions' food safety practices and other things that are being executed. So, for one to have these qualifications, it's very mandatory. Why? Because when you are connecting globally, so there shall be something in common, right? Because if I am here in Pakistan and if I am exporting a good to some other place, how would they know that my regulations are the same as theirs? And am I a competent individual and working towards the same safety regulations as they are following? Because this concern usually arises being a consumer as well. When we are going to purchase something for our daily needs, we do see these things that whether the product is certified or not, whether the company has attained the certifications or not. So if an organization is attaining those certifications, okay, so to attain those certification they require competent individuals who can execute it, who can implement it, who can monitor it, okay, and simultaneously who can audit it as well. So for those purposes these qualifications are really important. And food safety is a very critical matter these days because we all know that we are just one click away from losing our brand image. And if there is any sort of issue associated with the food products, it is most highlighted by all the forums that are available. So it's not just important for the organizations to get their individuals certified. Simultaneously, it is very important for the individual themselves to increase their competence so that they can be there in the international market and they can follow the same regulations being followed globally. Okay, because food is a direct relationship to your customer, to your consumer, whether be it a catering industry, whether be it any food product, your consumer is directly having that thing and the impact is clearly shown. If an individual is not certified and not competent enough to know that what can be the associated hazards, they cannot prevent the food and hence not prevent the consumer from foodborne illnesses. Okay, so moving on to our other concepts. Yes, modern day challenges. What are the modern day challenges? As we all know that there is a lot of demand of food production and we need to increase it approximately 60% till 2050. So why is it that so? Because the global population is increasing. Henceforth, for to maintain the large mass production, we need individuals, we need competent personnel to assure that whenever or wherever the food is associated from farm to fork, it is safe for consumer to have it and consumption at every levels. It's not just that it's just a certificate, it's just a qualification to have it on your resume. It's a responsibility that we all need to understand being food professionals, because your practices, your safety knowledge, your implementation can affect one's life. Okay, So it is very important to have these qualifications and not just have them for the purpose of having a certificate. We need to implement them. We need to incorporate the food safety culture so that the international trust is being built up more, so that you represent yourself and the food safety culture that your country holds in other regions as well. Okay, so this is very important. Moving on to our other part. Okay, now what are the food safety qualifications? There are certain qualifications whose names we have listened a lot of times. We have seen it on social media. We have heard it from our seniors as well. So, other than that, there are certain qualifications that include HACCP being the primary one. Okay, if a food professional does not basically have the understanding of HACCP principles and its steps, it is very crucial for the industry that the individual is working in. Okay, like Aisha highlighted, that there are levels for the understanding of HACCP. And once you're certified, that does not mean that there's a stop to that thing or that thing ends over there. That's just the start to the beginning and to the regulations that you have studied. That's the beginning where you incorporate your ideas with the requirement of the standard and improve the practices of your industry. Okay, followed by other components that are food safety, allergen, auditing and inspection, cleaning practices, good manufacturing practices, food safety management systems, and other standards as well, including the local regulations such as FDA. Now, the global need for food safety qualifications. Why is there a global need? As someone said that what qualifications shall we have if we are moving outside? So this is a very good question, because your certification is the, I would say, a gateway or a an icebreaker for you to move abroad, because your qualification, your education is accepted, no doubts on that, but your qualification, I would rather say, is an easy pathway for you to have an exposure to the international market. Okay, because they have the same standards that you are following. As Aisha said, that in Europe, in Dubai, everywhere they give the same qualifications. So a person sitting here or the person sitting over there, they have the same level of I would say expertise, and it can be evaluated through your qualification or certifications only. Okay, now the consumer these days is very well aware. We cannot just say like the old times. If we take back around like 20 years, so the consumer were lesser aware of the practices, but right now the consumer is very well aware of what the things are going on. At times we see that the consumer themselves are making certain videos that go viral in all of our groups. So for that purposes, if the consumer is more competent than the personnel who is doing that work, over there it causes dissatisfaction of your customer, eventually losing your brand image and reputation. So for that purposes, an individual needs to be that competent that they handle the entire situation and any issue that arises from the consumer end as well. Okay, and as we all know that there are technological advancements, there are various methods through which now food is being produced. There are other ways through which the food is being manufactured to serve the entire global need. So for that purposes as well, you need these qualifications. Now, food safety, it is most commonly used word, I guess, but we do not understand the hazards or the issues associated with it. Okay, so food safety, if not followed, can result in public health issues that can be most common in your consumer. Okay, economic stability. Once your good is being exported to other regions, you earn foreign business. Simultaneously, you increase your brand reputation. We have a lot of international brands that are working in Pakistan as well. How did they reach here? They reached here by following the same regulations taught in these qualifications, right? So you fulfill the regulatory compliance as well. Simultaneously, once you are that qualified, you have the exposure and you know that what is the importance of food waste and how do we need to produce it sustainably so that it is there for our next generations as well. Okay, can we move forward? Okay, as I highlighted earlier as well, that there are a lot of benefits associated with your food safety qualification. It does not only benefit the individual, it benefits the business in large, the stakeholders, the personals who are responsible for the business. As Aisha said, that usually they do not have the time to look after the entire business. So they need to train those team of people so they can perform their tasks on their behalf, and the company reputation is never at stake. Okay, so for that purposes it has a great importance for the producers and manufacturers, for the consumer. Why? Because the consumer knows that whatever the thing they are consuming is produced by a team of food safety experts. You fulfill the regulatory and government requirements, and you have the access to global market just through a single certification. Okay, moving on. Now, when implementing these food safety qualifications, or once an individual gets certified, they try to incorporate the system in their organization. They face a lot of challenges. How do they face a lot of challenges? Because an industry has multiple suppliers. So, a food safety expert just not only involve handling the practices of their organization, but also the support industries, or I would say the everyone associated in that managing that supply chain from farm to fork. Whoever is involved in that supply chain, it's the responsibility of that food safety expert to ensure that everything has been done as per the stated regulations. So if your raw material or if your packaging material does not support your quality standards, your product can be deteriorated. Okay. Simultaneously, there are certain rules and regulations that at times do not favor the production of your goods. But yet again, you need to follow them. It's not that you can neglect it just for the sole purposes of producing the goods. Workforce engagement. This is the most important thing, because your individuals that get certified are the sole leaders and the ambassadors of food safety in your organization. It's not just, as I said earlier, that it's a qualification, it is a responsibility. It is a culture that needs to be developed, that every person in that industry, in that supply chain, in that sector holds responsibility, and that person knows that their single mistake, their single negligence can be a source of error for so many people, and it can cause a lot of destruction that we cannot even imagine. Okay, so moving on. Now, why register for our safety trainings? As Aisha said, that it is very important, and HSEQ Professionals has been providing you this platform, and will surely provide you in the future as well. So, once you have this certification, you not only have the certificate and an extensive knowledge of the domain you're taking the training for. You know what are the risks associated, you know what are the compliance measures that need to be assured. You boost your consumer trust, you increase the market access of your good. Simultaneously, you provide tailored solution to the industry in which you are associated, because you know what the law states, what the basically qualifications require, what are the standards saying. So you can incorporate it in your industry and serve them to the best. Simultaneously, they work as a stepping stone towards achieving your career advancements and your goals. So, concluding my session and this webinar, I would like to say that just not attain these certifications for the sole purpose of having a certificate. Try to understand the sole responsibility that comes along with these qualifications. You need to work on yourself before improving any organization, before improving any sort of culture. So, in order to compete in the market, in order to meet the modern needs, in order to satisfy your customer, in order to work for an organization, you need to develop your competency first. If you are not that competent, you cannot, say or fight for the position that is being available. You need to make yourself a distinguished individual, so that once you are there, you can work for the organization and community in large. So I would like to conclude with a saying: If you could just proceed towards that. The last slide, Ailia.
I think so. I will stop sharing.
No worries, no worries. I have it, no issues. Okay. So I would just like to conclude with the saying that food safety is not an option, it is a fundamental right. Ensuring it means protecting the health of millions and securing the future of our global food supply. So please understand your role and responsibility and work towards attaining those qualifications. You can contact HSEQ professionals through their LinkedIn page, through the mentioned WhatsApp groups, and we would be looking forward to serve you all. Thank you so much, Ilya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rutaba. Thank you very much. Indeed, very valuable insights have been shared, and thank you for sharing your experience as well. So, we are opening the question answer session. Any questions from our audience? The question is from Shrey. Has this level 3 of food safety development? Please advise Ms. Rutaba.
Okay, so as Aisha also stated, and I would re-quote that for attaining any qualification, you initially need to evaluate your current level of expertise and what are the demands for your current job role or for your future position that you are seeking for. Okay, so for that purposes, you can definitely visit Highfield website and see what are the contents that are being taught, because both of them are essential. We cannot just choose one. So for considering your scenario, you can choose which one you want right now, but definitely you need to opt for those, both of them.
Thank you, Ms. Rutaba.
Thank you so much.
The next question is how to know which is the right qualification for you if you have recently started the food industry. I think this has been repeated.
Yes, this serves the purpose that you need to first evaluate the need that is there in the market and then fulfill your criteria accordingly.
So the next question is from Mujib and Munib. Can you please explain the additional points which are added in HSSC V6?
Okay, for that purposes, you would be requiring a transition training to be taken on FSSC version 6 in order to explain you the detailed additions in the standard and help you understand those in a better way.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much, Ms. Sutaba.
Thank you so much,
So,
Ilya. Thank you so much.
thank you for giving us a precious time. If you want to ask any questions or if you have further any queries regarding the food safety qualification and anything else, so we also have a WhatsApp group. You can ask in that group also. And I'm mentioning my email address as well. You can ask me directly. So we are here to facilitate you. a.fatima@hsqprofessionals.net. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you
Taba.
so much.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
on
much.
behalf of HSEQ Professionals.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care.